Like, what do you think is going to happen in the future now?
Just same thing as we are now. Long ago, people asked that, and I'll say the same thing I said about 20 years ago. I think we're just going to slowly decay into like a Brazil.
Okay.
A solid second world country. It's my predictions become true, but it's just a gradual, slow. We'll have our ups and downs, but you're going to have more inflation. You're going to have less labor force participation. Our labor productivity will go down. Our debts are going to go up. The currency is going to become less and less valued. Pretty much we're going to slowly we're going to become an unnotable country. We're not going to become a third world war torn shithole, but we're not going to be the idea of American exceptionalism is over.
When would you predict that would happen?
I don't like times,
right?
Because it's akin to like, well, when is this? I could tell you there's an overhang of snow for an avalanche. Like that has the potential. That's going to be an avalanche someday. Where, in which snowflake, and where does it fall on that avalanche to achieve the critical mass that it causes it? I don't know. It crashes and economies and all that. It's more like you can see the potential fuel for an explosion. Where the spark's going to come to ignite it is another issue. So it's real hard. You ever see what was the movie? It was about The Big Short.
Yeah.
Did you see it where the numbers and the data started coming in? Like people weren't paying their loans back.
Yeah.
And the quantitative analyst was correct, but Wall Street kept bidding up the price of housing assets. You can have the data coming in saying, oh my gosh, it's all over. But psychology, the mental, the psychology of the market will keep it going up and being irrational. Even after the empirical evidence comes out and says, this is wrong, this is bad. And so, it's real hard to predict when. Essentially, when are the normies going to pull their heads out of their ass? That's the question you're asking. Like, I don't know normie behavior.
When will they pull their heads out of their ass?
Yeah, when did the normies say, hey, wait a second, we can't print off all the money. Hey, did you know getting a master's degree in education doesn't get it? I mean, look at education.
Right.
I wrote Worthless 2011. That's 13 years ago. It warned everyone about worthless degrees. People, take a wild guess. National Center for Education Statistics.
It's up, not down.
Well, no,
okay.
Overall enrollment has gone down, and the enrollment and choosing of majors that are poor have gone down, but microscopically so. We're 13 years after that came out, and about 85% of the kids who go to college still major in worthless degrees.
85%?
You have the news. What? The news, I mean, and there's debate on what one considers a worthless degree. I consider, are you going to have a job at the end of it? Okay. But we have had news media coverage about the education crisis and the student loan crisis, $1.6 trillion. Young people, the Zoomers now who are the college going age, it's not like they haven't seen the millennials like bodies on the floor, like a battlefield with just all these millennial bodies who've been ruined by their worthless degrees and their student loan. Yet they still go and 85% of the time about, plus or minus, they're choosing these joke degrees. And so it takes a long time for normies to wake up to bad things. And it's impossible for an economist or anyone else to predict when that will be. When did poofy bangs go out of style? When did the queen bee of the 80s decide, I don't like poofy bangs anymore? And then it cascaded. It's impossible to predict that trend. But you can look at the numbers, you can look at the data and say there's a mismatch here and it's got to correct sometime.
I can't believe it's that high, 85%.
Yeah.
It's mostly women getting the worthless degree.
No, last stats I pulled, 60% of men's choices are pretty worthless, and women's like 90, 92 or so. I'd have to, again, look at the data.
Still 60% of guys.
The vast majority of all people are wasting their time in college, and they are crippling themselves financially, men and women. Men, you could go up and say, hey, stop majoring in political science. You tell a girl that, why do you always my dream? I hate you. You're patriarchy. All right, fine. Go be poor and debt-ridden and go join OnlyFans. I don't care.
I'm curious if you think because you would say economics. That's a good degree.
In hindsight, no. Horrible degree. Horrible degree.
I mean, I didn't use it anyway.
Yeah, no. I would not recommend an economics degree at all. You got to get a doctorate I got lucky. I don't have a
Okay.
doctor. I don't even have a degree. I have a minor in economics. I just ended up doing it.
Okay.
It was weird. But generally, you got to get at least a master's, if not a doctorate. Then you're going to go
Dang
work
it,
for some
Dad told me.
stodgy, boring, go work for the Fed. You go work for a bank. For the most part, if you do any real work, you say, God, we can't increase the debt anymore. You'll get fired or you'll be lectured. And no, it's just totally not worth it.
I am known for asking questions.
Yeah, no, you would make a horrible economist. Do anything. I made a horrible economist. There's just no one who's honest going to economics.
I did business administration. I double majored. Was business admin good?
No.
Probably not. Dang it. Okay.
You need accounting or some. Yeah, and that's where a lot of people would argue with me is that for all business degrees except for accounting and IT are
I didn't
worthless.
look at all at the jobs after.
Yeah, no.
I didn't know what I wanted to do.
But why does it take us 15 years to have this conversation?
Yeah.
You know, and glacially slow to get, like, we're 3% less kids going to college. Okay, that's the right trend, but we'll finally get to where we got to be by 2275 at that rate. And the financial costs are way too here. So getting people to wake up is impossible. It's just impossible.
So good. I'm no better. Dang it, guys. Okay, but good degrees are accounting,
STEM, engineering. Yeah, I wrote a book called Worthless. If you want all the details, it's there. No, I'm not updating it for inflation. People go, oh, you're going to update it for inflation. No, I'm not. Just multiply it by 1.7. You'll have your numbers. There are the trades, of course.
Yeah.
They're medicine, and some of which aren't even 4-year programs, like radio tech or radiologist tech or x-ray tech. So there's anything with a truck driver, you know, you go and they'll train you in. So you can do your research, but the education, whether it's trade school, self-study, online, or an in-person college, make sure there's a job at the end of it.
I can't believe 60% of men even pick bad degrees. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, but I know a lot of people are focusing on women, I guess because maybe their behavior is a little more amplified or not exotic. But you see, like, wow, you majored in dance therapy. What the hell? You know, and most guys, well, I'm going to major in journalism or something a little less zany. But yeah, it's not going to help. We could focus on women and say, look, you got to stop majoring in this dumb crap. But that says nothing for the 60% of guys who are doing the same thing and ruin their finances going forward. So you have to tell the truth regardless.
Yeah. So we really just have a population of people that are making really bad choices economically.
Yes. That's it. And the national debt is the sum total of those bad choices, more or less. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what my dad said my whole life, that the debt is gonna that we can't keep going like this. And my whole life they've just kept going like this.
Yeah. But now we're starting to see inflation. People are starting to they wonder,
even that was like $3. I was like,
yeah,
wow.
I remember when they were like, I think $1.25.
Yeah.
I remember when Mountain Dew cost $0.25.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm old. But after a while, though, you kind of give up because I've seen Gen X, that's my generation. They were a bunch of dopey leftists as well back in the day. Free stuff,
what's Gen X? That's 50?
Like 70 to 85, roughly born, or 68. Depends on who you are.
You're not that old.
I'm 49.
Oh, yeah, but you're not 70. That's
No, born in 1970 up to 1985 or so.
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant 70 years old.
No. No, that would be boomers, yeah. Most Americans have made bad choices since World War II. Mm-hmm. And we could talk about culturally and socially and what all it is lazy people not wanting to work. We want welfare. We want this. I don't want to work out. I want people to like fat people. I'm going to get divorced. It's just, you could, thousands of different cultural, economic, and political individual topics we would talk about. At the end of the day, people are just lazy. They don't want to work. They don't want to own up to responsibility. They want free shit. Mm-hmm. And you'll see that thread of DNA in every socio-political topic we could talk about.